hopeful that all of us could actually memorize this dua, or if we know this, to repeat this very frequently. And the dua itself is from the beginning of Rajab, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. Oh Allah, give us barakah and blessings in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban, and allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. Again, the hadith itself is, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. And I've said this previously many times, but this is a reminder for me and all of you brothers and sisters, that this coming month of Ramadan, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to reach it with ease and comfort and khair and afiyah. But brothers and sisters, the reality is, for some it will be their first Ramadan. For some it will be their last Ramadan. And for some they will not even make it till Ramadan. And that's the reality of life. And that's the haqiqat, which is what we all have to really understand and reflect upon, brothers and sisters. So this dua itself is a great emphasis, that not only that the month of Rajab itself is the time of dua and prayer, but it is the time to really prepare ourselves for the month of Ramadan itself. Now, how do we create that heart, or how do we create ourselves or our inside to be able to welcome the month of Ramadan? Because brothers and sisters, one of the most important things in our lives should really be the time of dua. And I want to focus upon dua just for today, so that we can take this point, lead it for the next 2 months, and prepare for the month of Ramadan. Because for many individuals, dua is only at a certain time. Maybe after salah, or maybe someone going through a difficult time, maybe someone is losing a loved one, may Allah protect us and put us in khair. But it's usually at a time when things may not be going well. And that's the time where we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we raise our hands. And there is nothing wrong in doing that. But brothers and sisters, dua is much greater than just raising of the hands in the times of difficulty. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ad-du'a'u mukhal ibadah." Dua in its entirety is the essence of your worship. I remember a few years back now, not a few years, but many years back now, when I was finishing my studies and I was coming from Pakistan, when I'd gone from here to study and I was coming back. It was the last days of our studies, and we went to all of our teachers. And I went to one of my most beloved teachers and I asked him that, Ustaji, my beloved teacher, can you give me like one nasiha? Because I won't be with you for many years, but I want to take something back from you. Can you tell me one thing that I could make as a part of my life? So from amongst many things he shared, one of them that I could share publicly with you, he said that was to take out at least 5 minutes every single day. And take those 5 minutes between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There should be no one except for you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you just speak to Allah, which is really in reality your dua. That you cry and you pour your heart in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, I'm pretty sure, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us in such a way, but there is no one sitting here that could say, I don't have anything pending in my life. There's nothing that's sort of troubling me or putting me in a situation where I need help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of us, in our own capacity, some in large and some in small capacity, are in some way, some shape, some form, in a situation that we need the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those 5 minutes where you sit down and you speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala daily, it's a time that you make that connection. When there is no one except for Allah. And when we find Allah, we find everything. Man wajada Allah, wajada kulla shay. And the one that loses Allah has lost everything. Even though apparently they may have everything. So it's important that dua becomes the foundation and the basis of our lives, especially now when we begin the month of Ramadan. Because brothers and sisters, if we don't soften this heart for the month of Ramadan, then the month will pass, the Rajab will go, Sha'ban will go, the whole Ramadan will go, but our lives will not change. Brothers and sisters, I say this in more of a cliche again and again, but it's time to cultivate our hearts. It's time to soften our hearts. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in this hadith, and the Quranic ayah itself is the example and the metaphor where the Quran says that there are rocks and stones that shatter into pieces and water gushes out, but there are hearts that become so hard that they don't cry for the sake of Allah. What has happened to ourselves, brothers and sisters, if we don't prepare ourselves? So dua is one of the greatest tools for all of us to really welcome the month of Ramadan. So what do? Take some time out every single day, that there should be no one except for you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can pour your heart, and you can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your dua and supplication. Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali rahmatullah alayh, in his kitab Lataif al-Ma'arif, mentions that there were multiple Sahaba that were reported to have said that it took them 6 months continuously to pray to Allah to allow them to see the month of Ramadan. Brothers and sisters, when we value something, we look forward to it. When we have qadr and respect for something and we really look forward to something, then every single moment is a time towards welcoming that thing. The month of Ramadan should be that moment for all of us. It should be inside our hearts that Allah allows us to witness the month of Ramadan. So brothers and sisters, we need to prepare ourselves. Dua, let's go back to dua. What can we do and how should we make dua itself? Number one, brothers and sisters, and I would recommend this for myself and all of us, that we should seek forgiveness very frequently from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because unless we don't clean or cleanse our hearts, how can we give space to the nur and the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts? A famous quotation that many of the students of deen have learned this. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi was one of the greatest scholars of his time. Amongst one of the greatest scholars, the entire school of thought of the Shafi'i fiqh has been derived by the teachings of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. He was one of the most intellectual individuals to ever walk on the face of this earth. And if anyone loves Arabic poetry, the works of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi are some of the greatest works to ever read. So Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi writes, and he says that I went to my teacher Waqi', and I said, "Oh my teacher, I have bad memory. I can't learn things properly. Shakawtu ila waqi'an su'a hifzi." I went to my teacher, I did shikaya, and I complained to him that I don't have good memory. I can't remember things very often. I forget things really quickly. So he said, فَأَوْصَانِي إِلَىٰ تَرْكِ الْمَعَاصِي. So he said, my teacher advised me and gave me the nasiha to let go of the disobedience of Allah, the sins and the wrong, to let them go. And then he further said, فَإِنَّ الْعِلْمَ نُورٌ مِّنْ إِلَهِ وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُؤْتَى لِعَاصِيهِ. For indeed the ilm, the knowledge itself, the Quran and the knowledge itself is the light of Allah. And the light of Allah does not come to a heart that is sinful. So we need to make that room. We need to make that space in our heart for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If our hearts are already occupied with so much, where will we give that space to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We need to let go of things for the pleasure of Allah. Brothers and sisters, I say this so often right before Ramadan, every single year, that this is a promise that if you let go of something for the pleasure of Allah that is allowing you to stay away from Allah, then these moments, Allah will provide you with something much greater than that. If there is anything in your heart, in your life, that stops you from coming closer to Allah, let that thing go, and I promise that Allah will give you something better than that, which will be more pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more beneficial for you in this world and the hereafter as well. We need to create our hearts to welcome the month of Ramadan. Seek forgiveness very frequently. And just not forgiveness by astaghfirullah, not like that. Yes, that's good, that we frequently make istighfar. But the true intention within our hearts, to let go of the things that are stopping us from coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will never find anyone more rahim, more merciful, more generous, more kind, more giving than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will never find anyone who said, I found Allah and I'm not happy. And I tell you, you see this world more than myself. You will find many who have everything in life and they say, we're not happy. We're not content. But if you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we find everything. And that doesn't mean that we don't have to accomplish things of them. Accomplish anything in life that is halal, but don't forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be the best in everything. The excellence is where Islam teaches us, but without leaving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So brothers and sisters, the month of Ramadan is coming close to us. Number one thing, through dua, seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, istighfar. Number two, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for istiqamah, steadfastness. One of the greatest gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for any individual is that if Allah gives someone steadfastness in their deen, even if it's small or actions that are not really big, but if Allah gives you steadfastness, that's one of the greatest gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that, I request you, I humbly request every single one of you, that from today, please begin reciting the Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't wait till the end of the weekend. Don't say, let me pass this Monday and I'll start then. It's time today. If we don't build ourselves in Rajab and Sha'ban, we can never build a true connection to the Quran in the month of Ramadan. Even if it's a single line, please read it every single day. Even if it's half a page, whatever it is, please be connected to the Quran. Please be connected to the Quran. Consistency and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for strength and continuation of our action is the key, brothers and sisters. The most beloved action in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those that are done continuously, even though they might be very small, very less in its amount. That's number one. Also, brothers and sisters, to make sure that we ask Allah to cleanse our heart, to purify our heart, so that we can forgive one another and to get ourselves closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. To conclude, brothers and sisters, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for dua, for consistency in your actions, the purification of our hearts, the ease and the blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And brothers and sisters, the month of Rajab, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us from the famous dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I want to repeat this dua again as I mentioned in the beginning of the khutbah. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan, that oh Allah, give us barakah and blessings in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban, and allow us to meet the month of Ramadan or witness the month of Ramadan. Brothers and sisters, an opportunity, awareness, or understanding to come closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah gives you an understanding and opportunity to come close to Him, take that opportunity. Please do not delay. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the doors of khair, do not wait, brothers and sisters. Do not wait. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires and puts in your heart to let go of something and come close to Allah, please do not delay. For you don't know when the doors will close. You never know when these eyes will not be open anymore. You never know when that tawfiq and the ability and the changing of the hearts that we don't even understand sins as sins anymore can become a part of our lives. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires us to make tawbah and repentance, make it right away, brothers and sisters. We may err again and mistake again, but Allah is still Kareem. He can still bring us. But please do not delay. Please do not delay in coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your one step will see the rahmah and the mercy of Allah rushing towards your life. You will see this in your own life, the rahmah and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So brothers and sisters, as we begin the month of Rajab, which is the 7th month of the Islamic calendar, and one of the 4 sacred months in Islam, which is known as Ashhurul Huram, it is indeed a great time for all of us as we begin the new Gregorian calendar as well, to begin this year by making intention to leave those things that are the disobedience of Allah. Making ourselves closer to Allah through those actions that will bring His rahmah and His mercy towards us. And allow these 2 months that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us to really prepare ourselves and to be able to welcome the month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our prayers and our du'as. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to prepare in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be pleased with us. Give us the ability to make the best of this month and a meaningful step towards the blessed month of Ramadan. Oh Allah, bless us in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban. Oh Allah, allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. Oh Allah, forgive our sins, increase us in our good deeds, and make us from amongst those who are successful in this world and akhirah. Wa ma alayna illa
الله أكبر الله أكبر أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة.